Bullies cut the quiet girl's hair. 24 hours later, they were begging for forgiveness. Zara Khan sat in the furthest corner of her physics classroom at Westbrook Academy, her thick auburn hair forming a curtain around her face as she bent over her notebook. At 17, she had perfected the art of invisibility, oversized cardigans, muted colors, and eyes that never met anyone else's gaze. Her South Asian features were striking, but hidden beneath layers of self-imposed anonymity that had become her armor against the brutal social ecosystem of high school. What her classmates couldn't have imagined was that every afternoon, Zara shed her timid exterior at Master Chen's Taekwondo Academy downtown. For the past 7 years, under the guidance of her Aunt Nasreen, a former national champion who now ran the dojo, Zara had transformed from a frightened 10-year-old into a disciplined martial artist capable of devastating precision. Aunt Nasreen had instilled in her not just technique, but philosophy. True strength protects the innocent. A warrior seeks peace, never conflict. Brittany Walsh commanded Westbrook Academy with the ruthless efficiency of someone born to privilege. Platinum blonde, designer-clad, and perpetually surrounded by her loyal followers Tiffany and Sophia, she had elevated cruelty to an art form. They prowled the hallways like predators, always hunting for their next target among the school's more vulnerable students. For most of junior year, Zara had successfully avoided their radar through careful observation and strategic invisibility. She ate lunch in the art room, took circuitous routes through lesser-used corridors, and never ever drew attention to herself. It was a delicate dance of survival built on one fundamental rule: remain unnoticed. The first crack in her defense came during a chaotic passing period when Zara accidentally collided with Brittany while rushing to her locker. The impact sent Brittany's expensive matcha latte splashing across the hallway floor. "Are you kidding me, freak?" Brittany's voice pierced through the crowded corridor, immediately drawing a circle of onlookers eager for drama. "I'm so sorry," Zara whispered, dropping to her knees to help clean the mess. "Don't you dare touch it," Tiffany snapped, shoving Zara backward. "Who knows what kind of germs you people carry?" The racist undertone hung in the air like poison, but Zara bit back her response. "Just walk away," she told herself. "It's not worth the trouble." But Brittany wasn't finished. "Look at this mess of hair," she said, reaching out to finger Zara's carefully braided locks. "When's the last time you washed it? It's probably crawling with lice." Zara jerked away from the unwanted touch, and for a split second fire flashed in her dark eyes. Brittany caught it and smiled predatorily. "Oh, the little mouse has some spirit. How interesting." From that moment, Zara became their primary target. They would accidentally shoulder-check her in hallways, make loud comments about her clothes during lunch, and spread vicious rumors about her family's immigration status. Zara endured it all with silent dignity, even as the harassment intensified. Teachers looked the other way. Coach Peterson conveniently forgot to include Zara in team activities. Even Principal Davies seemed to view her as an acceptable casualty in maintaining the school's social order. "Why don't you fight back?" Zara asked herself each night, replaying the day's humiliations. She could handle all 3 girls without breaking a sweat, but Aunt Nasreen's voice always echoed back, "A true warrior's strength comes from protecting others, not becoming the oppressor." The breaking point arrived on a grey Friday afternoon in November. Zara was eating lunch alone in the courtyard, savoring a rare moment of solitude when Brittany and her entourage approached. The courtyard was nearly empty, just a few scattered students who immediately found reasons to look elsewhere. "Well, well, what do we have here?" Brittany said, sliding onto the bench across from Zara. "Eating all alone again. How pathetic." Zara continued eating her sandwich, refusing to make eye contact. She could feel her pulse quickening, her body's natural fight-or-flight response kicking in. "I'm talking to you, refugee," Sophia said, using the slur deliberately. Zara's jaw clenched, but she remained silent. You know what I think? Brittany continued, pulling out her phone to record. I think it's time for a makeover. That greasy hair is really bringing down our school's image. Before Zara could react, Tiffany grabbed her from behind, while Sophia produced a pair of craft scissors from her designer bag. Zara struggled, but they had positioned themselves to make it look like playful interaction to any casual observer. Hold still, Brittany commanded, grasping a handful of Zara's beautiful hair. This is going to hurt. The scissors cut through Zara's hair with sickening efficiency. Chunks of her pride fell to the concrete like dark confetti. Other students had gathered now, some filming with their phones, but none intervening. In 30 seconds, Brittany had destroyed what had taken Zara years to grow. There, Brittany said, stepping back to admire her handiwork. Much better. Now you look as ugly on the outside as you are on the inside. Zara sat frozen, her hand reaching up to touch the jagged remains of her hair. Tears she had held back for months finally spilled down her cheeks. The gathered crowd began to disperse, already moving on to the next entertainment. Don't cry, little mouse, Brittany cooed mockingly. Hair grows back, assuming your family can afford proper shampoo. That evening, Zara stared at herself in the bathroom mirror. Her beautiful hair, her one vanity, was ruined. Uneven chunks stuck out at odd angles, making her look like she'd been attacked by hedge trimmers. Her mother had gasped when she walked through the door, immediately calling Aunt Nasreen. Beta, Nasreen said softly when she arrived, examining the damage. Who did this to you? Zara told her everything. Months of harassment, the racist comments, the teachers who looked away, the final humiliation. Nasreen listened without interruption, her face growing darker with each detail. Why didn't you defend yourself? She asked finally. You have the skills. Because you taught me that fighting should be the last resort, Zara replied, that a warrior protects others. Nasreen was quiet for a long moment, then placed her hands on Zara's shoulders and looked directly into her eyes. Beta, sometimes the person who needs protecting is yourself. There's a difference between being a bully and refusing to be a victim. What happened to you today? That was assault. Those girls need to learn that actions have consequences. She drove Zara to her stylist friend, who managed to salvage the hair into a short, edgy cut that actually looked stunning. As Zara looked at her reflection, she saw something different in her eyes. The meek, frightened girl was gone. In her place stood someone who had finally had enough. Monday morning arrived like a reckoning. Zara walked through the hallways of Westbrook Academy with her head held high for the first time in months. Her new haircut drew stares and whispers, but she no longer cared about blending in. She was done being invisible. Brittany was holding court at her usual table in the cafeteria when Zara entered. The popular girl's eyes immediately locked onto her victim, and a cruel smile spread across her face. Well, look who got a real haircut, Brittany announced loudly. Too bad it can't fix that face. Zara walked directly to Brittany's table, her movement fluid and purposeful. The cafeteria began to quiet as students sensed something different about the dynamic. We need to talk, Zara said simply, her voice carrying a new authority. Brittany laughed. The little mouse wants to talk? How adorable. What could you possibly have to say to me? You're going to apologize, Zara said calmly, to me and to every other student you've tormented this year. The cafeteria was dead silent now. Brittany's friends exchanged glances, unsure how to respond to this unprecedented challenge to their leader's authority. Brittany stood up slowly, her smile turning vicious. Or what? You'll cry on me? Run to your mummy? Or I'll make you apologize, Zara replied, her voice still eerily calm. Brittany's face flushed red with anger. You little bitch, she snarled, drawing back her hand to slap Zara. Zara moved with lightning speed, catching Brittany's wrist mid-swing and applying just enough pressure to make her gasp in pain. The popular girl tried to pull away, but Zara's grip was like steel. That was your choice, Zara said quietly. What happened next would be talked about for years at Westbrook Academy. Brittany threw a wild punch with her free hand, which Zara easily ducked. Using Brittany's own momentum, Zara executed a perfect hip throw, guiding her to the ground with controlled precision. Brittany hit the floor hard, the wind knocked out of her. Tiffany rushed forward to help her friend, but Zara was ready. A simple arm drag sent Tiffany stumbling into a nearby table, scattering lunch trays everywhere. Sophia took one look at her fallen friends and backed away, hands raised in surrender. Zara stood over Brittany, who was struggling to catch her breath. The entire cafeteria stared in stunned silence. "I don't want to hurt you," Zara said, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. "But I won't let you hurt me anymore either. You can choose to keep this going, or you can learn to treat people with respect." Brittany tried to get up, rage overriding her better judgment. "You think you're tough?" she wheezed. "I'll destroy you for this." Zara sighed and shook her head. Brittany lunged forward awkwardly, trying to tackle Zara around the waist. Zara stepped aside and applied a gentle but effective sleeper hold, cutting off the blood flow to Brittany's brain just long enough to make her go limp. She lowered the unconscious girl to the ground carefully. "Someone should probably call the nurse," Zara announced to the room. "She'll be fine in a minute." The crowd finally found their voices, erupting in cheers and shocked commentary. Zara helped Tiffany to her feet, checking to make sure she wasn't seriously hurt. "Are we done here?" Zara asked the remaining members of Brittany's crew. They nodded frantically, too shocked to speak. Principal Davies arrived with security just as Brittany was beginning to stir. Zara expected to be dragged to the office, possibly expelled, but something unexpected happened. Instead of condemning her, students began speaking up. Brittany started it, called out a freshman who had been eating nearby. "She's been bullying Zara all year," added another student. "They cut her hair last week," shouted someone else. "I have it on video." Within minutes, a chorus of voices was detailing Brittany's reign of terror. Students who had been too afraid to speak up individually found courage in numbers. Principal Davies looked around the room, finally seeing what had been happening under his nose all along. The investigation that followed revealed months of documented harassment, including the video Brittany herself had taken of cutting Zara's hair. While Zara received a brief suspension for fighting, Brittany and her friends faced much more serious consequences. Tiffany and Sophia were suspended for 2 weeks and required to attend anti-bullying counseling. Brittany, as the ringleader, was expelled and faced potential assault charges. Zara's return to school was met with something she had never experienced before: respect. Students who had ignored her before now nodded in acknowledgement as she passed. Some even approached to thank her, sharing their own stories of Brittany's cruelty. The girl who had once eaten lunch alone now found herself surrounded by students who wanted to sit with her. Zara was polite but selective, choosing to spend time with other quiet students who had been overlooked by the social hierarchy. 2 weeks after the cafeteria incident, Zara was surprised to find Brittany waiting by her locker. The formerly popular girl looked different, humbled. Her designer clothes were replaced by simple jeans and a sweater. "I wanted to apologize," Brittany said quietly, not meeting Zara's eyes. "What I did to you, what I did to a lot of people, it was wrong." Zara studied her former tormentor carefully. Brittany looked smaller somehow, diminished by the loss of her social status and the consequences of her actions. "Why?" Zara asked simply. Brittany was quiet for a long moment. "Because I was scared," she finally admitted. "Scared that if I wasn't on top, I'd end up on the bottom. So I hurt people to make myself feel powerful." Zara nodded slowly. "And now I know what it feels like to be powerless," Brittany replied. "To have everyone turn against you. I'm sorry, Zara. I'm truly sorry." Zara looked into Brittany's eyes and saw genuine remorse there. "Apology accepted," she said finally. "But being sorry isn't enough. You need to do better." Brittany nodded eagerly. "I will. I am. I've been volunteering at the youth center, working with kids who are being bullied. I want to make things right." As Zara watched Brittany walk away, she felt a sense of closure she hadn't expected. The girl who had once seemed like a monster was revealed to be just another scared teenager lashing out at the world because she didn't know how else to cope. And Nasreen had been right. Sometimes protecting yourself was the same as protecting others. By refusing to remain a victim, Zara had given courage to dozens of other students who were suffering in silence. She had shown them that bullies only had as much power as you gave them. Zara touched her short hair, which had grown out into a stylish bob. She liked it better than her old long hair. It felt like the external representation of who she had become. Stronger, more confident, unafraid to take up space in the world. The transformation at Westbrook Academy was gradual, but undeniable. Teachers began paying closer attention to student interactions. Bystanders who had once looked away started speaking up when they witnessed bullying. The school implemented new policies and programs focused on creating a more inclusive environment. Zara became something of a reluctant hero to the underdog students. She never sought the attention, but she didn't shy away from helping others who were being picked on either. Her calm confidence and proven ability to stand up for herself made potential bullies think twice before targeting anyone in her vicinity. Months later, as Zara prepared for graduation, she reflected on how much had changed. She was no longer the invisible girl in the back of the classroom. She was student council treasurer, captain of the self-defense club she had started, and had been accepted to several prestigious universities on academic scholarships. Most importantly, she had learned that strength wasn't about the ability to hurt others. It was about the courage to protect yourself and those who couldn't protect themselves. She had discovered that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to be a victim. The girl who had once hidden behind her hair now stood tall and proud, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She had learned the most important lesson of all. Respect is something you command, not something you beg for. And at Westbrook Academy, everyone learned that appearances could be deceiving and that the quiet ones were often the ones you should never underestimate.